Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! Oh, he banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. What is happening, man? It's Wednesday. That's right, which means it's 9 a.m., which means we are live here at Austin, Texas, right here from Syndicate headquarters. My name's Tony Merwin. That's the Jolly Ginger Giant. Wow. Joe Campert, what is happening?
What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. I'm actually streaming to my personal profile as well. So I wanted to kind of throw this out there, get some exposure. For our special guest, my new pro profile, which, guys, if you have the ability to turn on pro mode, I highly suggest. I don't know if you guys saw my post out there yesterday, but I had like 6,000% increase on some of the, it was ridiculous. So throwing it out there to my personal profile, as well as our favorite Facebook group, the Insurance Syndicate. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is having an amazing start to the week. Real quick, it is in the description of the show. Make sure and let StreamYard view your comments just so we can see you, see what your name is, just so you're not a Facebook user. But thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. The Dallas Prime Redwood boys. Shout out to y'all. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. But, man, we've got an awesome show for y'all. But before we get into that, what's your weekly win, Tony?
Dude, weekly win. There's so many to choose from. Just being honest. That could be my weekly win as I'm stacking wins left and right. But let's do this one. Let's talk about the growth plan that Grace and I have been on a little bit, right? We've been doing our 75-day challenge. We're killing it. We're in day 44 today, so we had a month left. Super proud of both of us. And we decided, hey, since we're accomplishing something, we're doing something that's hard, let's reward ourselves for achieving our goals. So we kind of put it out in the future a little bit, because we still got a month to go, but we're committed. We know we're not going to quit. We know we're not going to fail. So we booked a nice fat trip to Cabo San Lucas.
Come on now.
To reward ourselves for our efforts. So it'll be the weekend after we finish. And we actually finish right on St. Patty's Day, which is perfect. That'll fit right into the no alcohol plan. And then following up that weekend, we will be kicking it in Cabo, just chilling out, enjoying, being fit, being healthy, and the fruit of our efforts.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, and shout out to y'all. I know you guys have been extremely diligent on that. And it's going back. That's my weekly win as well. I was looking at my calendar this morning for the Extreme Revolution. I'm not even going to, you guys know what I'm doing. I'm doing the 100 days, eating healthy, all that good stuff, working out. And I looked at it, I was like, damn, like day 45. And I remember starting it, and it's like, okay, first day out of 100, right? Like, here we go. And then now looking at it, it's like, man, I feel freaking amazing. I feel better than I have, and I can't tell you how many years, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, and that's the win part is, guys, sometimes all it takes is just little tweaks. I'm not doing that much different to feel this much better, right? It's a 45-minute workout, eating healthy, and like reading a book, right? Those are the things that have like totally just flipped the switch for me. But yeah, my weekly win is the day 45, and that. Just because, again, it looked daunting when I first started. And then it's like, oh, wow, like I'm already like almost halfway through this.
Yeah.
So
it's like any other big goal, right? When you look at it at first, you're like, that's scary. How am I ever going to accomplish that? Well, you accomplish it by doing a little by little, by setting those short-term targets day by day. So if you're going to do a 75-day challenge or a 100-day challenge, whatever it is, you don't focus on the 100 days, right? The giant plate of food that you got to eat. You focus on just one day at a time, man. Can I get one day done Can I be successful at one day? Because if I can do one day, then I can do another day.
Right.
And if I can do another day, then I can do this for a week. And if I can do it for a week, then I can do it for 2 weeks. If I can do it for 2 weeks, I can do it for a month. If I can do it for that, I can do it for the whole 100 days. Which, on that note, kind of pisses me off. Because I come in and I'm like, hey, I'm going to do a 75-day challenge. You're like, oh, 75? Fine, I'll do 100. Come on, man. We don't need any more competition in here.
I want to be pissed at Andy Elliott, bro. He's the one who started it.
But it is good. It's been definitely a change in everything. Like, and ours is pretty simple, right? We're working out for at least an hour, hour and a half every morning. We get up about 5 a.m. We drink. You guys have seen some of the photos I do. We have a green juice. And everybody keeps asking me. So I'll just tell you, it's green apples, cucumber, celery, kale, spinach, and lime juice.
Oh, wow.
Right. So we're condensing our greens. We're getting a big fat intake of greens because we don't eat a whole lot of greens. We eat a lot of meat and some vegetables, a little bit of Brussels sprouts or asparagus here and then, but we're condensing a lot of our greens, cut out all the white foods. So no sugar, no flour, no starch, no fried foods, and just drink water, no alcohol. That's pretty much the crux of it. And at this point, 44 days in, I am down right about 22 pounds.
Let's go.
And then one of the fun things about it is this whole process has reinvigorated me in a lot of ways. And I'm like, you know what? I've been wanting to really get back into my Kung Fu and martial arts training. So no more excuses, right? No more excuses. Go sign up. So now I'm actually have amplified it even more. And now I'm getting about 6 hours of intense Kung Fu training in every week. So
Tony was really sore after the first class.
Super sore. It hurt.
That was a good one. But again, man, shout out to you, for taking that step. Shout out on the freaking dropping. What do you say, 22 pounds, dude? That's freaking awesome. And again, well, we're talking about shout outs. Shout out to, before I allowed Tony to intro our amazing guest, because you actually intro him from stage at an event that he actually helps put on. But got to give a shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions. Shout out to Rob Lopez. Shout out to Lily Davies, who's behind the scenes. You guys don't see her, but she's who's managing our comments, managing the YouTube channel, the Instagram. She created our TikTok for us. You can tell how much I'm on TikTok. But again, shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions. Not only, have they supplied us with Lily to be able to help produce this show and really help just with the Facebook group, the Insurance Syndicate, and all the other stuff that goes with that. But then also anything that you may be potentially needing a virtual assistant for, whether that's administrative work, whether that's helping with your quotes, whether that's billing. We actually even have a virtual assistant that helps us with policy reconciliation and commissions, with carrier appointing and onboarding, which is huge, right? We know how tedious that can be. So again, shout out to Viva. Thank you for your sponsorship of the show, and really appreciate you, Rob.
Absolutely.
And without further ado, man.
Without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, man. I'm super excited to have this dude on because I definitely have some questions for him. I have had the experience. I met him through Justin Brock, I guess at the very first one, if I remember correctly. I'm not 100% sure if this guy was at the very first MedicareCon event when it was Medicare Guru's Mastermind. My brain escapes me at the moment. But I met him through that, and then I started following him on his social media. Phenomenal content, just all around phenomenal dude. Like every moment I've had a chance to spend with him has been a great time because he's full of positivity. He's peripheral to the insurance space. And these are some of the questions that I have for him. But super excited, man. If you are not following this guy on social media, definitely follow him because he puts out great content. And again, just all around phenomenal dude. So I'm excited to get him on. Let's bring him up here, Mr. Cedrick Freeman. What's
going on, guys?
Good morning. How are you?
Man, I'm doing well. Feeling good this morning. It's Wednesday. We winning.
Let's go.
Ain't complaining,
Absolutely. So speaking of winning, what do you got for us? You got a weekly win? Something going on over there in Mississippi?
I do have a weekly win. It's pretty small, but I like to celebrate small wins or big wins. And this one for me is I've gotten some rest this week. Anybody that knows me know I'm a night owl. I be up 1, 2 in the morning. My brain is just going. And lately I've been able to balance things out and take care of some work pretty early. I've been in bed at 10 o'clock Monday and Tuesday, which makes me happy. So I feel good. The energy that I've been missing, I've been getting back. And, just like you guys on that health kick, I'm on my health kick. So
yeah, don't put us to shame, bro.
Listen,
I'm just now getting going. All right.
Rest is just as important as being active. So very excited about being able to get some rest back, and hopefully I can keep the streak going.
Absolutely, man. Well, and you're pretty fit already. Like, no lie, I've seen you. I've seen some of your content, your photos. Like, you're not not in shape.
Well, you know, that's something that came over time. I didn't start off this way when you first met me. So going back, we did meet at the first MedicareCon, if not before then, because, you know, I was traveling with JB, and I want to say we ran into each other a couple more places. Like the first time I met Joe was in Missouri.
Yeah, it was Power Players, wasn't it?
Power Players, yep. I had just started working with Justin. I was 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
And I met Joe on the elevator. This is like the first person I met. Yeah. Yep. Remember it like it was yesterday.
What was that experience like for you? Like, you're 2 weeks in, all of a sudden you're hanging out with this dude, JB, Justin Brock, who is obviously in a league of his own in regards to this industry. And then you're stuffed in a room full of, you know, the likes of Justin Brock, Cody Askins, Ryan Nutter, Nate Offord, Pete Fournier, like all of these absolute killers. Matt Timmon was there. Joshua Lustig was in that event. Like, it was just stacked with true power players in the insurance business. And you're a brand new dude. You're not an insurance agent, right? Or are you?
I'm not.
You're just a superstar videographer. So what was that like, being in that atmosphere 2 weeks into this thing?
Man, it was a little intimidating. You know, I'm around strangers. Even the guy that I came with was still a stranger to me. So it was exciting though. It was a new experience. I've done some traveling before, but I got in there, didn't know what was going on. I'm just doing my thing, doing my job, and, you know, started speaking to people and getting introduced and noticed, man, everybody here is cool. Like, everybody's laid back. Everybody, you know, not looking at me like, what's this guy doing here? JB think he's special. He got a camera guy. Like, it was nothing like that. And I learned quickly, you know, that just getting in new rooms and being introduced to new things, if you're just open to the experience, and you take away so much. And even me personally, going to these events, I've taken away so many things that has affected my personal life just by listening to you guys talk, because I don't just, you know, record. I listen and take away from myself as well. So I may get a little lost in the sauce of insurance sometimes, but you know, when it comes to like personal and just listening to other people's life experiences and where you come from and where you are now, and me seeing that and knowing you guys on a whole new scale has, you know, motivated me and inspired me in so many ways that it, you know, it really pushed me to new heights, new levels. And, you know,
love it.
4 years later, here we are.
Here we are. Well, so let's give us real quick. Give them, I know we got right into it, and I freaking love that. But give them a little, who is said, give them a little 30,000 foot overview. You talk about experience and who we were, and here we are. Break it down a little bit.
Who is said? I tend to, well, first of all, I'm a father, father of 3, single father. My boys live with me full time, you know, wake up, getting ready for school, doing homework, coming to work, you know, feeding them, activities on the side. First of all, that's who I am. Secondly, I would say, man, I'm a guy who I'm very optimistic. You know, I try to think about the best out of any situation, no matter what it is, who it's with. I remain positive, you know, through everything, and I've been through some things, you know, and getting into the space and getting into insurance, I never would have thought, you know, would change my life the way that it have. And I'm even more upset, this positive guy, because of where I am and the people that I'm around.
Love it, dude. Well, so what even got you into content creation, right? So obviously, I mean, you're a baller videographer, and that just requires so much freaking skill, right? We're sitting here talking like, yo, dude, before we go live, can you like give us some pointers, bro? But nobody needs to know that. But it's like, yo, Seth, what do you think we look like, man? But I mean, what even got you into that? Was that something at an early age, man? I'm already kind of interested in this type of thing, right? Or is it more of like you just kind of it fell into your lap, like most of us fall into insurance? What was that?
Man, you know, at a young age, I always knew I had like some type of creative gene, some type of creative DNA. I didn't know how to express it. And what really got me into content, videography, photography is cell phone. And I say that because I was working at Best Buy, and I remember specifically the Samsung Galaxy S6. I tell this story because it's so odd, but it, that's what got me into it. The Galaxy S6 was like one of the first phones that had the manual camera settings on it. So I would be at work and I'm just sitting there messing with it, learning it. And I'm like, man, like I'm trying to figure this out, couldn't get it. So one day it's like I figured it out. I figured out how to get those manual settings right, but I was intrigued by it. So I kept doing it. I was taking pictures, posting them on Facebook, and people start hitting me up and was like, hey, can you do a photo shoot for me? And I'm like, I use a phone. Like, it's just a phone. And they're like, well, your photos look good. How much would you charge me? And I'm like, okay, $25. I don't know. And so I got paid $25 to do my first photo shoot with a phone. And right then I was like, okay, if they pay me $25 for a phone, what if I just go get a camera? So I went to a pawn shop, bought a camera. And I was obsessed from that point with learning how the camera works, learning about lighting and, videography. And I probably spent a year before I actually took like a real client. And from there, I started shooting weddings. I started shooting business events. I started, just doing all kind of things, photo shoots. And, it's funny how I even got it.
Time, bro.
Justin Brock is how I got to know Justin Brock was they were seeing me on Facebook. One of the employees was just seeing me post stuff, didn't know who he was. And the oddest message came through on Messenger. And it was like, hey, do you want a full-time videography job? And I'm like, what? Like, there gotta be some spam. What are they talking about? Who the delivery was bad. It was bad. Like, so I'm at the time I'm working at AT&T and I get this message. I'm like, I blow it off. I ignore it, but it stayed on my mind the entire work shift. So I wrote him back and was like, hey, give me a call. Gave me a call. Was like, hey man, I work with Justin Brock, and mind you, I don't know who Justin Brock is.
Right.
I don't know this guy. Yeah, he's like, we do insurance, and he really wants somebody to be in the office shooting content and stuff. And I'm like, what?
That sounds
insurance? Yeah, all I could think was old people and like khaki pants. I'm like, it's gonna be quiet in there. I'm a pretty exciting guy. I don't think this is gonna work. So he was like, if you want to, just come by the office, check it out. And so I said, okay. Well, I hated AT&T. I was like, well, maybe this could be something. I don't know. Sorry if it's getting loud in here too. I think they just broke from a meeting. But I remember I woke up the next morning. I went to the office. I was really cool with the general manager of AT&T. So he was like, man, go do it. All right. Talk to him. I go by the office, and me and Justin, we're just chopping it up. Not even an interview. We're just having casual conversation. And then he's telling me, what he's trying to do. He starts showing me the stuff he's already done. And I was like, okay, this looks like something different. This ain't what I thought it was. Right. Like, cool. Okay. He's like, all right, well, I have to interview more people and I'll get back with you. We'll see if you're a good fit for the job. All right, cool. So I'm shooting a wedding that weekend. I always think this is a funny story. I'm shooting a wedding that weekend, and JB calls me during the wedding. Pick up. I'm like, hello. He's like, hey man, I just wanted to call you and tell you I'm still thinking about you, but we got more people to talk to. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I just want to let you know, like, you're number one on the list right now. And I'm like, okay, I'm shooting a wedding. Cool. He hang up. 2 minutes later, he called right back and say, screw it, man, screw it. We want you. We want to hire you. Like, you get the job. And I'm like, okay. I'm going to call you back. And I remember asking him later, like, JB, was you drunk when you called me and hired me? And he was like, yeah, I think I had a few drinks that night.
That's good.
Dude, who was the first dude that reached out to you? Was it Martinez over there?
No, actually it was Stark.
Okay.
Huh? Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
it was.
I have a question for you. And it's kind of personal, but I think it's also what a lot of people like struggle with in this industry, but really just, in life, when you have a lot on this side. Like, I love that you led with, who am I? I'm a father, right? And I'm a father of 3, and I'm doing this thing, I'm rolling solo. Like, share a little bit about, like, how are you able, and this is kind of broad, but I kind of want to go deep with it, is like, how are you able to make it all work, bro? You got 3 kids, right? All at different ages, right? And then I know Justin's travel schedule and how much content you put out and how much, just everything that they're doing. How are you doing it all? Like, break some of that down. Cause I know there are people out there. I know that there's people listening that one, either maybe think they got a lot going on and then they're like, oh man, okay, I don't actually have a lot going on. Right. Or it is, man, I've got a lot going on and I'm struggling.
I get the question a lot, man. Like, how do you do it? And my answer is, you have to have a will to want to do it first. And that's the first thing that pushed me, because for one, I am responsible for my boys. So I want them to have the best that they can possibly have, better than me. And, I grew up with both of my parents, and not saying their mom is not involved, but I have them majority of the time. And so, first it's just, you have to want to do it. And I think that's with anything. If you want to become a top-notch insurance agent, you have to want to do that, and I feel like behind the want is the actions. Anything you want to do, typically anything somebody want to do, they're gonna do it. They're gonna put in the effort to learn, whatever the case is. But I had to come up with some type of routine, some type of schedule to where I can thank you, Tammy. I love this candy, so she can't throw me a whole bunch of candy. But I had to come up with a routine that just kind of fit with the schedule. Thankfully, my mom and my dad, they help out a lot. So when me and JB do travel and we're on the road, the boys are with my parents, so they help out a whole lot. And, I give them their flowers because they do a lot to help. But at the end of the day, it's just like, I know it has to be done. And if I fail, then the gears don't turn anymore. You know what I mean? And I'm all in on what we have here, and I'm all in at the house, and the things that I love and I'm loyal to, I'm there 100%. And it's not a question behind it. It's not you ask me, it's no way I'm really gonna turn it down. You know what I mean? So it's just my everyday will. It's I'm dedicated to the process.
Where'd you get that from?
I don't know.
Self-developed, or is it like
something?
Yeah,
I would say over time it's probably self-developed. I didn't have this trait when I was younger. I know I didn't. Younger, man, I was, careless. You know what I'm saying? I just everywhere. I didn't really think about what was important. But as I got older, I would say after my divorce, after the divorce, I was the biggest thing that I wanted after my divorce was to become a better person. That was my biggest thing. And I feel like I took a year off. Actually, during the divorce and during COVID is when I met Justin Brock. And so in the middle of all of that, I just had the will to want to be better. And I would write down my positives and negatives for each month. I literally kept up with the book, and I would put January, these are my positives. This is what I feel like I'm on top of. These are my negatives. This is what I feel like I'm failing at, or, and that can range from finances to like relationship to time with the boys to how am I socially, all kind of things. I put anything that I could think of on there. And I feel like just kind of giving myself that guideline just led me to be mindful of things whenever there he is.
Think of the devil.
It led me to be mindful of the things that I was doing each week and the people that was around me. And so during those times, and then having, these car conversations with Justin, or these, out of town, we would just talk sometimes, and he allowed me to just talk, and he give me his feedback, and just having somebody like that in your corner who not just look at you as an asset to the business, but as like a true friend that want to see you do better and want to see you grow. That helped out a whole lot,
Mm-hmm. Can you, I'll ask this last question. I know Tony's got some stuff for you. So I talk a lot about your tribe, right? The people that you surround yourself with. And it's not just like it's not like your network. It's not your community. It's like, no, like these are my people, right?
Yep.
Talk about this again, it's kind of a general broad question, but I want you to kind of apply it to maybe something personally that's an experience that you've had with this, right? But like, how important is it to have the right people in your tribe, right? Like to surround yourself with their, like, and I come from where I wasn't always surrounding myself with the best people, right? What is the importance behind that, and how has it changed? I know you're just kind of breaking some of that down, but go a little bit further with that.
Man, it is very, very important to have the right people around you, simply because, just off an example, one of my good friends, one of my best friends, loving them deaf, but when it comes to just like growing in life, we're on two different scales. He's like the type of guy, he goes home, he's married, he goes home, he play the game as soon as he get off work, and that's all that he do. No other ambitions, no, nothing. And so for me, it was like, okay, this is not the energy that I'm looking for right now. This is not, I don't need this. And so I had to, just cut off, not like communication, but, time spent, things like that. You're still a friend at the end of the day, but, at some point I had to separate myself from that if I wanted to see myself grow. And that, that's why I say it is very important, because once I surrounded myself with people where I was trying to get to, versus, I heard something, I don't know who said, but they said, you can't be the highest one in your circle because you will never have a ladder to reach for. And so that always stuck with me. So it's not that I want to be the lowest in my circle, but if I have somebody that's higher, I'll always have a ladder to reach for. And that's what I look for with my circle, and it's never like a jealousy thing or anything like that. You just got to have something to reach for at all times.
Yeah. You never want to be the smartest guy in the room.
Never want to be the smartest.
Unless you're in a poker room. Unless you're in a poker room. That's the only time you want to be the smartest guy. Other than that, yeah, you want to be the dumbest guy in the room. That way you always have people who are surrounding you that you can learn from. 100%. What was it like having to break ties with that friend? Like, was that a big challenge? Did it break the relationship? Because I've been through that myself. So I'm just kind of curious what your perspective has been like, when you went through that.
My perspective was, it wasn't too bad. I mean, he felt some ways about it because we're really close. I mean, we talking about going out on weekends, drinking, things like that. And when I started trading my weekends for weekends with some of the work fellas, and being around that and talking about business and things of that nature. And we exchanged words a couple of times, but he also knew, and that's what I think makes a great friend. He also knew what I was trying to do, where I was, and the things that I want to accomplish. So although he had a few words, it was never like, like forget this, F you, F that, like nothing like that. It was just temporary separation. And and we still talk to this day. We're still cool. And we can hang out now because I'm in a place that's to where I know how to separate those things.
Right.
Myself. Like it's not I can go hang out with him now, and whatever he has going on, his energy doesn't really affect where I am because I'm past that now.
Right. So yeah, similar. I one of my best friends that I've known for 22 years. Like we were, just like you said, like we were thick as thieves. Like we played golf together all the time. We went out drinking together, partied together. We got married almost together. Like we got married within a week of each other in our second marriage. We both went through a divorce at the same time in our first marriage. We had a very similar trajectory in a lot of ways. although he was in banking or is in banking and I'm in insurance. But there was a period that I had to realize that I am not going to achieve what I want for me if I continue to spend a large chunk of my daily time with him.
Yeah.
Right. Because while he was doing very well for himself, like, just like you said, he had zero ambitions. He'd go to the bank, bust his ass, or I guess bankers. I don't know. That's probably a terrible thing to say, but I don't think bankers actually work that hard. No offense. But he'd go to the bank, right? Show up at 9, leave at 2, whatever that's like. And then he would be at the bar playing golden tea and drinking. And he would drink himself completely shit hammered drunk and then just go home and hang out with his dogs and wallow in his misery from being divorced. And I'm like, man, I can't be around that. And eventually I didn't tell him, like, I didn't have a conversation with him like, hey, I'm done hanging out with you. You're no longer my best. It was just, I was like, I'm not going to make it to the bar today. I got something else going on. And I kept coming up with excuses that I did my best to keep valid. And I made sure that I kept myself busy so that I had a good excuse of why I'm not at the bar. No, I'm working, or no, I'm doing this, or no, I'm hanging out with my family, or had something else that was more positive going on. And after a few weeks, like, he finally got bent about it and was like, what the hell, bro? Like, why aren't you hanging out? And then he started to get the message a little bit. And we went through a period of about a year where our relationship kind of struggled. And but now to this day, like, we're kind of past that, right? And we can hang out, we can spend time together, but it's a very limited amount of time that we spend together. We'll go play golf occasionally. He comes to my birthday party, and that's pretty much about it. Because even now, especially because he's like super senior vice president of the bank, like, the dude kicks ass. He's killing it. And I've been rooting in his corner, and he's been rooting in my corner the whole time. But he's still extremely negative and brings down a negative kind of energy. Right.
Yeah.
That ain't like, I'm Mr. Positive. I have things going on. Things are happening for me. So I had to learn to limit that too.
On the flip side, I've also had it to where it's actually funny. My pastor told me this, where it's sometimes when you cut people off, and again, not necessarily cutting them off as in you're not my friend, but just cutting off, like putting in the intention on your side of things, right? Or the energy on your side. Like, sometimes, like, when you cut people off, they don't even realize they've been cut off because you were the one who was actually doing everything. Right. There's two sides to that coin. Right. And I think that's a tough line to draw. But I want to shift gears here, Ced, because I think now people know Ced, right? And they hear your heart, they hear who you are as a man, as a father. And so I actually want to get into your skill set, right? And your profession, and obviously what you're passionate about, but what you're really freaking good at too. And so here's my first, I have to ask it, and I know probably what the answer is going to be. I mean, hell, it's how you started, but for somebody trying to start creating content, what do you suggest for them to get going? And I know you're probably going to say the same thing. Exactly. Everybody says it. I just want them all to hear it.
I'm going to say it. Cell phone, man. But the reason why I say that is because it's so much, like, it's more time you have to put into getting the camera out, getting your memory card, importing the files over, going into Final Cut and editing. And it's so much more to it when you can the phones are nowadays are way too good not to use. And I just feel like if you're not going to put forth the effort to use your phone, there's no way that you're going to want to use a camera. Now, in some cases, there are some people who, once they get like better equipment, it kind of motivates them for a little while. But I also feel like that feeling is temporary.
Yeah.
So break what makes good content? Like, when you're editing, and again, we'll kind of go into the editing stuff, and then I do kind of want to talk about some of the tools you are using that people, and there's a lot of free tools out there now that you can use to edit and create really solid content. But say when you're recording stuff, and actually real quick, let's give a shout out to MedicareCon too, because obviously you have a ton of content from MedicareCon. Lily, if you can, go ahead and drop that in the comments. If you're in the Medicare space, you need to be at MedicareCon. I'll be there. I've gone.
Tony, you remember this sign?
Hey. Yes, I do. I remember it all too well.
The OG. But again,
that
guys,
is the
Medicare space. You got to be there. It's epic.
Medicare Gurus Mastermind.
That was the original.
That's the original.
Speak to that real quick, man.
Okay.
If you are an agent out there in the Medicare space, you should really consider going to MedicareCon. Not just consider it, you should show up. It is the premier event. It's not a hype event. It is a value-packed event. It is led by the premier steward of the Medicare industry, Justin Brock and Bobby Brock Insurance, and all the Medicare gurus. You should 100% be there, because you will learn things that is not being talked about in any other event or circle. Guarantee it. And you'll have a hell of a lot of fun. It's at the MGM Grand.
And I don't even know the difference between Medicare and Medicaid, and I'm always there, guys. So, and again, it's at the MGM, so it's a lot of fun. But again, Lily, drop that link in the comments for anybody that wants to check that out. We would love, especially for anybody that's in the insurance syndicate. We're gonna have a booth and stuff set up, so we'd love to see you. And then obviously, Tony will be there kicking everything off, which is always, again, it's a great time. So, but you're recording all this, right? And you're obviously you've got the shots. What makes a good piece of content where it says like, oh man, this is fire, right? Like, we're going to put this out on all of our channels. What goes into that? What do you look for? Is it the intro? Is it the body? Is it the ending? Is it the captions? Like all the stuff now that makes a good piece of content in your eyes. Like, maybe just kind of list some of that off of like, this is what I use to make a good piece of content.
I think, first and foremost, I think that it depends on who your audience is. Obviously, getting into the insurance space, I've had to learn how to recreate content. And what I mean by that is something that I do for myself won't really look like anything that I do for the business. Sure. One thing that I've learned when it comes to like a space like this, or real estate, or anything like that, education, I feel like, is one of the most important things, because people want to learn, they want to grow, they want to see how you scale. So the thing that I think make good content is having value in it, not necessarily how it looks, not necessarily how the quality is. I think just creating some type of value to where insurance agents, one thing I have learned, they don't play about their time. And so, if time is spent on a video that gives them nothing, then nobody really cares, So putting some type of value in it. And if you notice lately, I've simplified our content here. I mean, it is talking, delivering some type of value, very close-up shots, because we want to get personal. A person want to feel like they're there. If I was here and Justin was telling me this, I felt that better, and that's what I feel like make good content. I mean, quality is cool. And a lot of times, every once in a while, I just use my phone for things. I'll mic them up with my phone, and we'll just do it like that, because the camera, I mean, it looks good, it feels good, but at the end of the day, creating some type of value for somebody to take away in a 15, 30 second, 45-second video beats it all. And I try to put out a lot of it.
Do you think lack of quality, right? Because I mean, this is kind of how what my personal opinion is. If I see a really crappy video, I don't get as much from it. So, I mean, my question on that is, do you think quality can diminish? Like, say I've got this baller message. Hi, wifey. What's up? Like, in the order of importance. Like, my wife is taking notes. Image quality. Is that true?
Content, audio quality, image quality. Is that true?
Do you think lack of quality, though, takes away from the education or the value of the content?
I think it depends on where you are with your audience, because I've seen people with millions of followers that have crappy quality and do amazing. And sometimes I'll be like, my stuff look way better than that. Like, why is it? I mean, because if you're looking to grow, you can put out quality stuff all day, but that don't mean somebody's gonna follow you for it. But if they happen to see a video that may be just a little bit blurry, but what you said caught their attention, I feel like they still may not follow you, but I feel like you have their attention way more than you did in just putting out a nice video and not saying anything. Now, if you do a mixture of both, it's even better. And going along with that, audio is very important too. Because again, nobody wants to hear a video where it's super echoey. You can't, you can't really make out what anyone is saying. So audio would definitely be number 2 on my list, because we've had our, you know, mishaps of where we put out some content, the audio wasn't great, and then we get comments or somebody inbox, and mind you, I'm logged in on Justin stuff, so I see everything. And they'll be like, "Man, I couldn't really hear the I couldn't really hear what you were saying. The audio was bad. All of these things." I'm like, okay, we got to do better. I got to do better. So,
Yeah.
I have taken some time to invest into way better audio quality. And I make sure I try to mic up Justin for everything. He's not really Justin is very sporadic. I mean, it's kind of sometimes sitting him down to say, "Hey, I need to mic you up for this," is a struggle. I'm like, "Hey man, I'm sorry, bro, but you got just let me clip it on you."
10 seconds.
Yeah.
When y'all have created some pretty interesting content, because you're not always just doing insurance value content. Y'all done some comedy stuff. You've done some really creative, interesting takes on how you attract agents or attract customers to your business. Are you the brainchild behind some of the stuff that's out of the box, or is that still JB and those guys? And I'm just the videographer. I'm just the dude behind the camera.
We have our moments. So we have marketing meetings, and a lot of times in those meetings, we have Jacob, our creative director, and then Paige, who is a graphic designer. We'll sometimes just put our heads together, and we'll just come up with random stuff. Every once in a while, I'll just get like a quick idea. I'm like, this would be good. Let me do this real quick. Let me shoot this real quick. But in our meetings, they do a very good job of coming up with a lot of ideas that go along with the content that we produce. So it's not just me, especially with the ideas. Thankfully, we do have a team where it's a three-headed giant. And then you add Steven and JB, and we're some monster.
Right on. What is some content advice that you would give to a brand new agent that's like, man, you're right, I should get out there and create
and what are some of the free tools? What are some tools that you know that, hey, all right, I'm getting my phone out, I'm going to do it, right? And there's a lot of the tools that you can just use straight from your phone too, like CapCuts and stuff like that. But like, what are, again, going back to his question, what is that? But then ultimately, like, what are some tools for somebody that is new that's getting out there?
For any new agent that's gonna put out content, especially if you're trying to be in the eyes of new customers, educate. I mean, educate them people and make as much as you possibly can. There are gonna be videos that's already talking about what you're talking about. So why not put out another one? I mean, that's, to me, education now is just rule. You have to build trust through a video. And in order to do that, for one, and know that you're real, show them some behind the scenes, set up your camera and be on a call and put that call out there. You know what I mean? Like, not personal information and things like that. Blank out what you have to blank out, but put it out there. Show that you really, care for a client. You're not just selling them, but I'm here to help. I want you to understand what I'm doing for you, so I'm gonna educate you, and then give them plenty of it. Like, you'll hear some people say, "Y'all put out too much content." Yeah, but you know who I am. You know what I mean? Like, it's
right.
You're not. It's not a negative to putting out a whole lot of content, and because that's another question that I would get is there too much? I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
No, I mean, Gary Vaynerchuk says what? You got to put out 64 pieces a day of content.
He says document daily.
Hard to do. And he says focus on documentation, not necessarily creation of original ideas. Just document what you're doing and put it out there as content. And so that's always been my answer when an agent, like, how much content should I put out? The answer is simple: more.
Right.
More. Like, there is no ceiling on how much content you can actually get out unless you just run out of time.
And waiting on a camera in good quality sometimes takes away from you doing more. Again, you can just put your phone up and just get the recording and you'll be fine. I mean, you can go to YouTube. First of all, YouTube University is free for everyone. You can go to YouTube and just learn how to edit a video on your phone. It takes nothing. You know what I mean? And when it comes to some of the free tools to use, I mean, you have things like CapCut. CapCut is it's free. They have a paid version, of course. And I think it's like $9.99 a month. But I mean, for what it is, it gives you a lot. It gives you a full editor. It gives you transitions. It gives you fonts. It gives you everything you pretty much need to create content, and it even do the automatic captions for you. So, I mean, and I think which is a really big thing nowadays, because I think a lot of people watch content on silent, which is crazy. But like if you're in the office sometimes, and I do it myself, I'll catch myself doing it. I'll swipe and I'll read the captions to the video versus actually playing the sound. So
Yeah.
you're not adding captions to your videos. You giving yourself an L.
Right. Yep. That's good.
Have
man.
you ever seen some of Justin's original content that he was doing with his phone before he found you?
He goes, we don't talk about that.
But it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
He was absolutely killing it in Facebook in the beginning with just his phone and really just blatantly shitty videos, but they worked because it was all valid and good audio.
One of our biggest
like
YouTube videos is it's one of his old ones. It's something about how to begin as an agent or something. It's something along those lines. We still get a lot of hits on the video today, and he put that out before I came, and it looks terrible. The audio is bad, but it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. So
if it ain't broken, right?
That's it.
As we start to wrap up here, man, you said something earlier that really that I took, right? That I think a lot of people, and it's why we have the highest fail rate, right? Is because and we know it's like with the best. We have the best vehicle, the insurance industry, financial advisors in insurance, right? We create the most millionaires out of any other industry. We just have the highest fail rate. And you said something earlier, right? Where you talked about that Samsung Galaxy S6, which I'm pretty sure I had that phone too. And I did not take that. What I took from that was so many people don't take the time to go through the settings, specifically in our industry, but I think also in life, right? Where it's like, man, imagine if you hadn't taken the time and gotten that first $25 photo shoot, right? Or whatever it was, because, and how many agents out there have not, they just didn't take enough time. And maybe they did a little bit, but they couldn't figure it out. So then they just gave up, right? It's like, no, it's like, but man, dude, once you figured out those settings, right? Like we started the show with, man, where I was to where I am now. And guys, if you don't know who Ced's rolling with, like, I'm sure it was an improvement of the people that he's like, I mean, Justin and that crew are just, and they're amazing people, right? And you guys are doing like huge things, but it's because you took the time to go through the settings. And I just think that's so important. And it's also a word of encouragement to anybody watching this, that if you are struggling, right, maybe it is that work-life balance that we were kind of talking about earlier. Maybe it's in this industry, right? Maybe it's just something personal you got going on, whatever that might be. Like it's a word of encouragement to take a little bit of time to go through the settings, right? And really like play with it a little bit, right? It's not going to be perfect by any means, but take some time to go through the settings. 100%.
I like that.
I like that too.
I like that a lot.
We do have to wrap up here pretty quick, but the biggest question that I really kind of wanted to ask you, what have you learned from being in this new atmosphere, right? Hyper successful atmosphere, teamwork, team environment, like everything is amplified at a magnificent level. What have you learned from that you've been able to apply to your videography skills or your videography work that you're doing outside of BBI?
I've learned, well, it's several things, but I'm gonna say one of the biggest things is it's the confidence behind what you're doing. One thing I've learned about JB, dude has confidence. I mean, you can tell him it can't be done, and he's gonna find a way to do it. It's the confidence that go behind it, and turning that passion into obsession is, I would say I put my side business down a little bit so I can be more involved in what I'm doing here. And it's because, again, like I've pretty much bought into the business, and what I had to do was I turned my passion into an obsession for what we have here, and we're growing, and it's something that like I can say I'm proud of. I still do things on the side every once in a while, but I'm not really motivated to do it. I want to see this grow. Like I want to, like I'm continuing to watch this grow, and I'm ready to see where it's going to be another year from now, because every year has been insane.
Right.
Insane. And I've been there from a good start. So just turning that passion into obsession and learning everything that you possibly can, and not downplaying anything from anyone. You can learn from anything, anyone, no matter who it is. It could be somebody that you may consider to be less valued than you, but they may say one thing that you can still learn and take from, whether it was a mistake or whether it was, anything. Learn from everything.
Yep. Well said. Anything that you can maybe tell us about the upcoming MedicareCon event that hasn't been released? Any secrets?
Man, listen.
Whet our
You're gonna get
appetite,
him in
so
trouble.
to speak.
You're gonna get him in trouble.
I'm trying.
First of all,